Yo, what up, everyone? Welcome to the Crank Hustle Podcast. My name is William Cervantes, aka Wilcer. In this podcast, I talk about all things food delivery, everything that revolves around the ins and outs of the food delivery business. I'll break it down in this podcast to my knowledge, to what I know so far. I'm still learning. I'm still a student at this. But in this podcast, I do kind of just try to break down everything that I've learned so far after 4 years of doing this and like 10,000 deliveries. Doing it on the bike, e-bike, scooter, car, all those things. But yeah, today I have a very good topic, something I just want to talk about just for clarification and because I know this is one thing that people do ask a lot, and it's very important. Because knowing the difference between these two can be a difference for you taking advantage of the orders or getting deactivated. So the topic today is going to be the difference between acceptance rate and completion rate, and why they're different and why it's important to know the difference. So I'm going to get right into it, going to break it down, and I'll show you guys what each one is. But before that, I'm going to explain a little bit about what we do and what we like. Why is it that they have that, and why it relates to independent contract work and all that good stuff. So I'm going to dive right into it. So yeah, let's get started. So first things first, acceptance rate. What is that? So you're an independent contractor. You agree with DoorDash and Uber Eats to accept contracts to deliver X amount of food from point A to point B. That's basically what you're doing. And as an independent contractor, they basically give you the contract, because each delivery is a contract, and that's where you either accept it or deny it. So they're going to give you all the details. They're supposed to give you all the details of the job, of the contract work. That's why they tell you how much you're going to get paid. That's why they tell you where it's going, where you're picking up from, what time they might expect you to deliver it by, the items on there. So as a contractor, they're supposed to give you as much as details as possible so you can decide whether you want to accept it or not. And that's where you make your decision on whether to accept or not. Right, that's basically all it is: acceptance and denying the delivery. And hold on, let me talk a little bit about the completion rate, and then I'll go deeper into it, and then I'll explain why it's important. Completion rate. Completion rate is you actually picking up the food at the restaurant or whatever it is you're picking up, putting it in the app, like letting the app know, whatever platform you're on, that you picked it up. So it's you confirming that you picked it up, right? So once you get to the restaurant, it tells you confirm pickup. That means you got the goods, you got the drinks, you got the alky, you got the whatever it is that you picked up, and you're on your way to the delivery, right? You're already transporting it, and then you get to the address. You leave it at the door, you hand it to the customer, whatever. That's the completion rate. The act of you actually finishing the delivery, you accept it. Alright, so let me tell you guys a little bit of what completion rate, or what acceptance rate isn't. Acceptance rate is not the completion rate. Obviously, acceptance rate is not confirming to the app that you picked up the food. Acceptance rate is not that you dropped off the food. It's just accepting the job. That's all that is. And then the completion is you actually executing the idea. Alright, there's a good amount of info on this one. Alright, so now I'm going to tell you why it matters. We'll get a little bit of an example of what it would be like if you would deny a bunch of deliveries if you had a job, like an employee job, regular, like a 9 to 5, you're getting paid hourly, right? So let's say your boss tells you, hey, I need you to take these boxes to the corner of the building. and you're like, no, no, I'm not gonna do that. You denied it. You denied that request, right? What's gonna happen? Your boss gonna be like, what? You serious? Boy, if you don't get up and move that box, I'm about to fucking start a case. I'm gonna have a new lawsuit on my hands. Nah, but like, you know, obviously that's gonna look bad on you, right? He might even let that slide. Another thing, hey, I need you to go, need you to do the report on this. You're like, nah, I don't think so. I don't like it. I don't like that job or whatever. He's gonna be like, oh, okay, wait, hold up. Why are you not trying to do this? By the third time, he's gonna be looking at you like, bro, you better get out of here. You probably get fired. That's an employee. You already got a job. You agreed to listen to whatever it is they had to do. As an independent contractor, you have the right to accept and deny all the contracts you want. You got the right to deny them all you want. At least in California and in the United States, laws can vary from country to country and from state to state. So you might have to look into that a little bit. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit just kind of like how it works with independent contract work. So that's it. In the independent contract work, you could just sit at home and deny all those deliveries. You could deny all those contracts because you just don't like any of them. You don't like how much they pay. You don't like where it's going. You don't like the restaurant. You don't like the way the food smells. Whatever the reason is, you have the right to deny as many as contracts as you want. The acceptance rate, they have a percentage there. They keep track of it. And they might tell you, hey, your acceptance rate is getting kind of low. You know, they could tell you all that, but they cannot hold you accountable for it because you're an independent contractor. You got every right to deny all those contracts if you don't want them. And that's it. That's where it ends. They can't do anything about it. They could tell you like, hey, you're running kind of low, and they might give you suggestions. Hey, you know, you can make more money if you just accept these motherfucking deliveries. They could tell you all that stuff. Don't change a goddamn thing. You could deny all that shit all day. I know there's people that just chill at home watching TV, just denying everything until they get one good one. Then they'll go do the delivery. Shit, they got every right to do it. So don't mix up that employee mentality with independent work mentality. Because I know a lot of us come from employee backgrounds and start independent contract work and think it's the same. It's not. And this is one big difference. Is, you know, that just in the name itself, independent, motherfucker. You on your own, you know? And right now I'm gonna explain to you guys the completion rate. This one is very important. I'll break that down. Let me just go drop off this food real quick. It's here somewhere. Let me one more thing about the acceptance rate. I want to explain a little bit too what happens when you deny a delivery. What's gonna happen when you deny delivery is like the delivery itself doesn't get canceled completely. Like when you deny delivery, it doesn't mean that like that food's not gonna get delivered and that it's over. That's where it ends. It just means that delivery is gonna get passed down to the next person available closest to the restaurant, and that's all it is. It's all systematic. One person denies, go to the next. That person denies, goes to the next. That person denies, goes to the next until someone approves, accepts it, and takes over the delivery. That's what happens. And I just want to kind of mention that just to kind of clarify, because I know maybe like I would have been like, holy, like when I started I didn't know any of this. So at first I was like, oh snap, man, they're not gonna get their fucking donuts. I feel so bad, they're gonna be hungry. But damn, I needed to cancel that because I'm on the bike and it's too far, right? Cool. Just want to clear that up real quick. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, completion rate. So that's a whole nother ball game right there. This is where the apps actually do keep an eye on, and they do hold you accountable, and they do keep track, and they have a certain percentage of how much you can not complete, right? They'll give you a little bit of room for error because a lot of things can happen during a delivery. One is, well, you could have an emergency, right? And usually whenever you can't complete a delivery, you have to always call support and get it documented, whatever the reason is. And there's several reasons. But before I get into that, let me just say why the restaurants and the apps look at it and will potentially deactivate you for. So I'll break that down right now. All right, so unlike acceptance rate, where the app just systematically jumps the delivery to another rider, a nearby Dasher or Uber rider or whatever, when you fail to complete a delivery, the food is already your responsibility. Once you cancel anywhere between the time you accept it to the delivery, anywhere in between that, if it's canceled, they cannot send another driver to get the food, because technically the food is already in your hands. And there's never been a case where one person passed it on to another so they can deliver it. You accepted the contract, it's your responsibility to complete it. So completion rate is getting the food to its destination without any problems, right? And the reason why restaurants, why the apps hold you accountable to this one is because if you fail to complete, there's a chain of events that happen. There's a domino. There's a bunch of little things that happen. One, customer does not get their food, which is the entire purpose of the whole business, if y'all notice. Customer opens the app, gets hungry, gets some food, puts their debit card with their address, expects food to show up, belly gets full. But when that doesn't happen, customer doesn't get their food, that's an unsatisfied customer. Any company will tell you that the last thing they want is an unsatisfied customer. Because what does that mean? They ain't never coming back to you. They ain't never returning. You lose a customer, you lose business. Two, the restaurant loses money because food that went out never got to its customer, and the restaurant is not gonna get paid for it, and the customer is gonna get a refund. So the restaurant loses food, customer doesn't get their food, and you know what? In most cases, you still get paid, which is, not good. If you're getting money, customers not getting their food, and restaurants losing money. Like, all those things are not good, but it does happen. There's a lot of uncontrollables that happen when you're delivering food, and that's why they give you a little bit of wiggle room. That's why it's not like they require you to have 100% completion rate. That's basically impossible. Like, it's just, I don't know, there's been times where I was close to it, but that only means because I had no accidents, no spillages, no, here's the things that can happen. Yes, you can spill the things, you can hit a bump, you can eat shit and the food just flies everywhere. You could get you could get in an accident. One of the most common things, you get a flat tire. That has happened to me various times. When you get a flat tire and you're not equipped to swap it out, or you're not near a bike shop, you just can't complete the order. They give you that room for non-completion because they understand that that's what happens from time to time. And believe me, they look into your account to see your behaviors, to see how often you've been calling in about X issue. Is this like something that just happens? It just happens out of nowhere. They look into your account. They try to look for fraudulent activity, which, it makes sense. They're trying to protect their business. They understand that they're giving you that wiggle room, and they just want to make sure people are not taking advantage of it. So restaurants, and the apps really look at this very critically. That wiggle room is for those accidents, stuff like that, and it happens. And if it ever does happen to you, like let's say you can't deliver the food, something happens to it, or you get an emergency, you got to be somewhere, whatever the case is, always call support and make sure that they document everything that happened. It doesn't take long. I'll make a whole video on how to get to customer service with Uber Eats and DoorDash, since those are the two apps that I use. That way, because you want to be able to have you want to be able to protect yourself. Because let's say you did eat shit and the food fucking fell and it's no good, and you call that restaurant, or no, not the restaurant, you call Uber or DoorDash or whatever app you're using, you let them know what happened. They're gonna be like, I got you, fam. We're gonna oh no, let's say you don't call them and kind of just let it go, like you're like Thug Life, it happens. You don't call them, you know, on them it's gonna be like, wait, the food never got to the customer. There's no calls that was made. There was no attempt of you reaching the customer. There was no attempt of you reaching customer service. What's going on? In the beginning, they'll give you a warning. Actually, no. These type of non-completions, I've been deactivated for. Customer calls, they're like, hey man, never got this. And you can get deactivated, even if it just happens once. So let me just go on right now. Let me just take care of this biz right here. All right, so ensure your ass gets calls and documents whatever happened in that delivery. So there's really, other than accidents and uncontrollable, there really shouldn't be any other reason why you shouldn't complete the delivery. That percentage should be used to strategize when you want to, like, let's say you do accept the delivery, but then you're like, you know what, I don't want to do it anymore for whatever reason. Maybe you got another app open and you find something better, but it's going a different way or whatever. You should give yourself that wiggle room for those type of cancellations. You do it strategically. Just make sure you don't get below 80%, because 80% seems to be like that threshold, that line. Like once you go below 80% of completion rate, then that's when the apps start reviewing your account. They start reviewing your shit and be like, wait, what is this guy doing? How often is this guy doing it? Like they start looking at, you basically get flagged, they review it, and then if it doesn't make sense, if it looks fraudulent, then they're just gonna deactivate you. And really, those are the ones that you just really can't come back from, unless you have a legitimate like reason, like the customer lied that they didn't get the food, stuff like that. But you know, I could go into that, but that's why completion rate is very important. They look at that because there's money involved. If you don't complete a delivery, there's money. Just someone's losing money, someone's getting money when they're not supposed to, and then they're losing customers, so they're losing money in the long run. So completion rate is the important part to hold your account in good standing. So you just got to keep an eye on that. So it's very important to know the two for all those reasons. Acceptance rate, you already know. You ain't got to approve. You do not require, it's not mandatory for you to accept anything. If you don't like the contract, if you don't like the delivery, if you don't like whatever it is. Completion rate though, once you accept it, you got to remember, you got to complete it, because it's going to count towards your completion rate. And you don't want to go below that 80% threshold. I'm not sure what Uber Eats percentage is, but I know that DoorDash is 80. But just knowing the difference between the two should help you in how to tackle these deliveries, and then when you're accepting and denying them. I'm gonna try to see if I'm missing anything, so I'm gonna just let my brain kind of work a little bit, make sure there's nothing I'm leaving out, and I'll get back on it. If not, then I'll just wrap up this podcast. I wish I could just do this shit live so I can ask you guys if there's anything that I'm missing. I'm gonna work on that in the future, maybe some live podcasts. We will see. I'm still learning how to do this. Man, why am I waiting? But yeah, let me get back on right now. I mean, that's all I got right now. If there's anything you guys want to add, please do so. Remember, I'm a student at this too. I'm still learning. This is basically everything that I have to the best of my knowledge. So if there's anything that you guys think I missed, or maybe you guys want to add, or how about for those of you that don't live in the United States, how is it in other countries? Does completion rate matter? Are independent contractors is it different? Is there even, I'm sure there's independent contractors, but I mean, how is it different from ours? Any info on this topic will be great. But yeah, just to kind of go through it again real quick. Acceptance rate, don't worry about it, don't stress it. It's gonna get handed to somebody else is gonna take the job. But when you accept it, make sure you know you're gonna complete it. That's why you have to look at it and see where it's going and all that good stuff. And then make sure you complete it. And if you can't complete it for whatever reason, you get your ass on that phone and get in touch with customer service. Let them know the problem. They will find a solution for it. And like, make sure it gets resolved and move on to your next delivery. So make sure that you keep an eye on the completion rate, make sure you are completing these deliveries unless there's an uncontrollable situation that may surface. Other than that, that's the podcast for this topic. Hope you guys got some info out of it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I think this is barely like the fifth podcast. Got a lot more coming, so if you guys like it, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.